We've all been there. That moment where you pull back, hoping, just hoping, that they'll feel the emptiness you've left behind. You wonder, if I stop reaching out, will they realize what they had? Will they finally miss me enough to come back? But here's the uncomfortable truth no one talks about. Missing you isn't automatic. It's not guaranteed just because you're no longer there. For someone to miss you, your presence had to feel like something rare, something deeply valuable, not just convenient. Space can create longing, yes, but only if they were emotionally invested in the first place. And even then, missing you isn't enough. Because people can miss you and still do nothing about it. They can lie awake at night thinking of you and yet not have the courage or the willingness to show up for you. That's why the question isn't, will they miss me? It's if they do, will they actually act on it? And more importantly, why am I holding my breath for someone who didn't choose me when they had the chance? Because in the end, you don't want to be missed in silence. You want to be chosen, fully and loudly. We often tell ourselves this story. If I pull away, if I disappear, if I stop texting or calling, they'll suddenly realize how much they miss me. It's comforting to think that the moment we stop showing up, someone will wake up and say, wait, where did they go? I need them back in my life. But here's what no one tells you. Missing you isn't automatic. It doesn't just happen because you vanish. It happens because of the impact you had while you were there. Think about it. Missing someone requires that there was something worth missing in the first place. It's not about the gap you create by leaving. It's about the emotional connection you built while you were present. And if that connection wasn't deep enough, pulling away won't suddenly create it. This is where most people get it wrong. They assume absence alone has power, as if silence is some magic formula that will make someone's heart ache. But if your presence wasn't inspiring or valuable to begin with, your absence won't inspire longing either. The truth is, people don't miss others simply because they're no longer around. They miss how someone made them feel. They miss the joy, the laughter, the comfort, the spark, the depth. They miss the moments when they felt seen, understood, and cared for. And if they didn't feel those things consistently with you, their life won't suddenly feel emptier when you step away. That's the hard truth no one wants to say out loud. And yes, there are some very simple things. The way you act, the conversation you have, the things you do, the things you don't do, the way you sit or come or stand or lean against, the way you think, the way you speak, the way you look, the way you sound. No one wants to say that. The way you look, the way you say, the way you think, the way you speak, the way you look, the way you sound, or language. So before asking, if I let them go, will they miss me? Ask a different question. When I was in their life, did I bring a rare kind of energy? Did I leave an imprint that isn't easily replaceable? Because that's what creates longing, not distance itself, but the memory of how someone felt in your presence. It's not about being perfect or bending over backwards to please someone. It's about being authentic, showing up fully and creating experiences that feel alive and meaningful. That's what sticks. That's what someone thinks about late at night when they wonder if they made a mistake letting you slip away. Here's another thing to remember. People miss certainty. They miss calm. They miss excitement. They miss the things they couldn't find anywhere else. But they don't miss stress. They don't miss chaos. They don't miss neediness or resentment. If someone felt suffocated or pressured in your presence, your absence will feel like a breath of fresh air. They sad your lack of suffering. They suffered someone else's guilt and worry, someone else's doubt, someone else's insecurity, someone else's inaccuracy. How dare you live? If you turn up your feelings, you will feel like you are under attack. You will feel less than. They will not see your pain. And as much as that's hard to hear, it's also liberating because it means you have the power to shape how someone remembers you. Missing you is conditional. It's built on the foundation of what they experienced with you. And that foundation is created through countless small moments. The way you listened without judgment, the way you laughed together until your stomach hurt, the way you supported them without losing yourself in the process. If they felt valued, respected, and inspired around you, then yes, when you step back, they'll notice. They'll feel that shift. They'll wonder why the world feels a little duller without you in it. But if they don't miss you, don't see it as a reflection of your worth. See it as clarity. It means they weren't capable of receiving or appreciating what you had to offer. And the person who is capable, the person who's ready, won't need you to disappear to realize your value. They'll see it while you're standing right there in front of them. This is why it's so important not to use letting go as a strategy to make someone feel your absence. Don't step back hoping it will manipulate their emotions. That energy is felt, and it rarely works. Instead, let go because you know you deserve someone who chooses you freely, someone who doesn't need to lose you to understand what you bring into their life. When you shift your focus from trying to make someone miss you to showing up in a way that's magnetic and true to you, everything changes. You stop worrying about how they'll feel without you because you're too busy creating a life so full and vibrant that anyone would be lucky to be part of it. And if they don't see that, if they don't feel the loss when you're gone, that's your sign. That's the universe telling you not to waste another moment trying to prove yourself to someone whose heart isn't open. Remember this, the people who are meant for you don't need your absence to recognize your value. They feel it in your presence. And those who don't, let them go completely. Not as a tactic, but as an act of self-respect. Because the moment you stop trying to be missed is the moment you become unforgettable. When you step back from someone's life, there's this quiet moment where you wonder, will they even notice I'm gone? Will they feel it? Will it matter? And the truth is, it depends. Space can be one of the most powerful forces in human relationships, but only under the right circumstances. You see, we have this romanticized idea that pulling away automatically makes someone miss us, that if we just stop calling, if we stop showing up, if we disappear for a little while, the other person will have this cinematic moment where they suddenly realize how much we meant to them. But reality isn't always so poetic. For someone to miss you, there has to already be a connection worth missing. If they weren't emotionally invested when you were there, if they didn't feel your presence deeply, if they didn't experience real value in what you brought to their life, then your absence doesn't create longing, it creates space. And sometimes that space feels like freedom to them. But if they were invested, if they felt that spark, if your presence touched them in a way that wasn't just convenient or superficial, then stepping back can be like removing oxygen from a room. Suddenly, they're forced to breathe differently. That's when they notice the gap. That's when the questions start creeping in. Where did they go? Why don't I hear from them anymore? That silence can echo louder than any words. What most people get wrong is using space as a manipulation tool. They think, if I pull away, they'll have no choice but to come running after me. But that's not how it works. Space doesn't force someone to love you. It reveals whether they already do. And that's the distinction that saves you from heartache. When you give someone space, you're not twisting their emotions. You're not trying to control the outcome. You're saying, I'm stepping back because I refuse to chase what isn't choosing me. Think about it like this. If someone's not invested, if they're lukewarm about you, space gives them permission to let go completely. They might not call, they might not text, they might even feel relieved. And as hard as that is to accept, that reaction gives you clarity. It tells you the truth you've been avoiding, that you are holding on alone. But if they do care, if they were taking you for granted, or if they've been distracted or complacent, your absence can jolt them awake. It's like the moment you lose a song you've been playing on repeat. You don't realize how much you love it until the music stops. The mistake so many people make is they give space, but not really. They say they're letting go, but they're still lingering. They watch their stories, they leave breadcrumbs, they send the occasional just checking in text. And here's the problem. If you're still energetically available, they don't feel the full weight of your absence. They don't feel the vacuum you're supposed to create. It's like saying, I'm gone, but still leaving the door cracked open. True space requires you to step fully out of their emotional orbit, not as a game, not as punishment, but because you value yourself enough to not occupy a space where you're not being met with equal effort. When you do that, one of two things happens, and both are a win for you. Abolish is a phrase that impacts me, and both are a win for you. Either they realize they miss you and they step up, or they don't, and you realize you were holding on to someone who was never going to give you what you deserve. And I know, it's hard. The silence is deafening. You'll want to break it just to feel connected again, even for a moment. But this is the test. This is where you find out whether they were there for you or for the comfort you provided. Space doesn't always bring someone back, but it always brings the truth to the surface. If they do come back, you'll know it's not because you chased or begged. It's because they chose you. And that's the only way love should ever feel. People don't miss nice, let's be honest. Nobody sits around thinking, I really miss how polite and agreeable they were. What people miss is emotional contrast. They miss how you made them feel alive, how you brought energy into their world, how they could laugh with you in ways they couldn't with anyone else. That's what creates longing. The memory of what it felt like to be in your presence. Think about the people you've missed in your life, the ones you couldn't get out of your head. It wasn't because they were available 24/7 or because they agreed with everything you said. It's because there was something unique about them. They left an imprint. You remember the way they challenged you, the way they could make you laugh when you were trying to stay mad, the way they created moments that felt electric. That's emotional contrast. But if the time someone spent with you felt like a flat line, safe but unmemorable, consistent but dull, your absence won't hit them like a wave. It'll feel more like quiet, like something that just fades into the background. And here's where most people get stuck. They think that pulling away is the magic trick to make someone miss them. They say, I'll stop texting, I'll go silent, and they'll realize how much they want me. But they're missing the point. Silence doesn't create longing if your presence didn't spark anything special to begin with. When someone leaves your life, they don't replay how agreeable you were. They don't relive the fact that you were always there for them if being there felt emotionally empty. They miss the moments where they felt alive, where they felt seen and desired and challenged. That's what they crave when you're gone. So the question isn't, if I let them go, will they miss me? The real question is, what will they miss about me The real question is, what will they miss about me? Did your presence feel like a breath of fresh air or a weight they were trying to shake off? Did you make them feel excitement, safety, and passion, or were you just there, hoping proximity would build connection? This is why I tell people don't just focus on being good in a relationship. Focus on being present, engaged, and emotionally vibrant. The way you show up determines whether your absence creates longing or relief. And that vibrancy doesn't come from trying to impress someone or walking on eggshells to keep them happy. It comes from being your full self, bringing your humor, your opinions, your energy, and your joy to the table. That's what people remember. That's what leaves echoes when you're gone. But here's something hard to hear. If the relationship you were in was full of conflict, insecurity, and tension, they might not miss you in the way you want them to. They might miss the routine, the validation, or the comfort of having someone around, but not you. Because in that dynamic, your absence doesn't create emotional contrast, it creates peace. And the truth is, nobody craves going back into chaos. This is why letting go gracefully matters. When you step back from a place of strength, not bitterness, not manipulation, you allow the other person to experience the void of your energy. If they miss you, it won't be because you played games or pretended not to care. It'll be because they felt the absence of someone who made their world bigger, richer, and more colorful. Missing you isn't about how long you stay silent, it's about how deeply you impacted them when you were present. That's why you can't fake this. You can't force someone to long for you if they never felt inspired or connected in the first place. You can't create emotional contrast after you've walked away. It's something you build by the way you live and love while you're there. But let's also remember this. Even if they do miss you, that doesn't guarantee they're the right person for you. Missing you is just step one. What matters is what they do with that feeling. Some people miss you and still stay on the sidelines. Some miss you and come back, but they haven't grown. They just want the comfort of what they lost. Don't confuse their longing with love. Don't mistake nostalgia for commitment. So yes, if you let them go, they might miss you, but make sure they're missing the real you, the bold, vibrant, loving person you are. When you're not shrinking yourself to fit their world, that's the only version of you worth missing. And if they don't, that's your answer. You don't want to be missed. Because of your absence, you want to be valued because of your presence. There's something incredibly powerful about a person who knows when to let go. It's not the kind of letting go that comes from frustration or anger, but the kind that comes from quiet strength. A deep knowing that if you're not being loved in the way you deserve, the most attractive thing you can do is step back. We often think holding on shows how much we care, how deeply we're committed. But the truth is, clinging doesn't make someone love you more. It doesn't make them wake up one morning and realize how amazing you are. It just makes them comfortable with the idea that you'll always be there, no matter how little effort they put in. And here's what no one tells you. The moment you choose to let go, not from a place of games or manipulation, but because you genuinely respect yourself too much to accept crumbs, is the moment they feel the shift. That's when they see you differently. See, people don't notice the value of water when the tap is always running. They don't appreciate the sun when it rises every day without fail. But when something constant suddenly isn't there anymore, that absence speaks louder than words ever could. When you stop showing up, stop chasing, stop trying to prove your worth, you force them to confront the silence you leave behind. and that silence can either feel like freedom to them, or it can echo like a deafening reminder of what they lost. What's important to understand here is that true letting go isn't about passive-aggressively retreating and hoping they come running back. That's still a form of attachment because your energy is still wrapped up in their response. You're not really free, you're just waiting. Letting go, in its purest form, is about releasing the outcome entirely. It's saying, I deserve someone who doesn't need to lose me to realize my worth. I deserve someone who shows up because they want to, not because I've convinced them to. And in that moment, you stop being someone who needs their love to feel whole. You step into being someone who is whole already. Here's where the magic happens. When you do that, when you step back and focus on yourself, your joy, your peace, you create a vacuum. They no longer get the benefit of your emotional presence, your attention, your support. And for the first time, they're forced to wonder, where did she go? Why isn't he texting? Why does it feel so quiet without them? That wondering is the seed of missing you. But here's the catch. They can only miss you if they valued you to begin with. If they were never invested, your absence won't register as loss. It'll just feel like empty space. That's why your job isn't to pull away so they miss you. Your job is to pull away because you refuse to stay where you aren't being met with love, effort, and consistency. There's a quiet confidence in that decision. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't need validation. You're not trying to teach them a lesson. You're not trying to make them chase you. You're just standing in your worth and saying, if you don't see me now, you don't deserve me later. That energy is magnetic because it's rare. Most people don't have the courage to do it. They settle for breadcrumbs. They wait around hoping the other person will wake up. They keep themselves small, believing that if they're patient enough, loving enough, forgiving enough, they'll finally be chosen. But you're not here to be chosen by someone who doesn't know your value. You're here to choose yourself. And ironically, that's often the moment when the tables turn. The same person who took you for granted starts to feel the weight of your absence. They remember the way you made them laugh, the safety they felt in your presence, the little things you did that no one else does. Suddenly, all those things they overlooked feel like irreplaceable pieces of their world. But even then, you don't come running back at the first sign of their regret. Missing you isn't enough. Longing is meaningless without action. Words are empty without consistent effort. You see, letting go isn't about whether or not they come back. It's about you stepping into a higher standard for yourself and saying, even if they never miss me, even if they never return, I'm okay because I didn't abandon myself to hold on to them. That's real strength. That's the kind of energy that draws in people who are capable of giving you the love you deserve. Not because you fought for it, but because they already value you enough to never risk losing you in the first place. So let go. Not for them, but for you. Walk away not to spark longing in their heart, but to protect the love in yours. And if they realize your worth when you're gone, they'll show you not with words, but with actions that match the depth of what you gave. If they don't, you'll know you made the right choice by choosing yourself. You know what's fascinating? Most people think they've let someone go, but in reality, they're still holding on in 1,000 invisible ways. They tell themselves, I've walked away. I'm giving them space. I'm not texting them anymore. And yet, they're still checking their Instagram stories to see if they're online. They're still asking mutual friends about what they're up to. So they may be online, but they're not actually listening. They're still leaving little breadcrumbs, liking a post, sending the occasional hope you're doing okay message, staying in their orbit just enough so they don't fully disappear. But here's the problem with that. You can't make someone miss you if they still feel your energy lingering around them. As long as you're energetically available, responding quickly to their casual texts, showing up in places you know they'll be, or even silently waiting for them to realize your value, they'll never get the chance to feel your absence. And if they can't feel your absence, they can't miss you. Think about it like this. Imagine someone's favorite song is always playing in the background. It's comforting, it's familiar, but after a while, they don't even notice it anymore. It becomes part of the noise. But the moment the music stops, there's a strange silence. Suddenly, they're aware of the space where the song used to be. That's when longing begins. That's when they notice how much they enjoyed it. Your presence works the same way. If you never fully step back, if you never give someone the gift of your absence, they won't even recognize how much you brought to their life. You staying energetically available doesn't inspire appreciation, it creates complacency. And let's be honest, the reason we stay halfway in is because we're scared. Scared that if we really let go, they won't chase us. Scared that if we don't send that "hey, just checking in" text, they'll forget about us entirely. So instead, we hover. We think we're being strong by keeping our distance, but deep down, we're still hoping they'll notice we're just a phone call away. But strength isn't in hovering. Strength is in pulling your energy back completely. It's in stepping out of their emotional space, not in anger, not as a game, but because you value yourself enough to not linger where you're not being fully chosen. If someone feels like they can have you without earning you, they won't feel motivated to step up. Why would they? You're still there, still available, still giving them emotional reassurance that you're waiting in the wings. To create real impact, they need to experience life without you. They need to sit in the quiet and ask themselves, what's missing? Why doesn't it feel the same anymore? That's how someone starts to recognize your value, not through constant reminders, but through your absence. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Not everyone will miss you. That's the risk you take when you let go for real. But the right person, the one who was meant to stay, will feel that absence like a void. They won't just think about you late at night and smile nostalgically. They'll feel compelled to reach out, to close the distance, to put in effort. The wrong person? They might notice for a moment, but they'll slip back into their patterns. And that's okay, because when you step fully away, you give yourself the gift of clarity. You stop wasting energy on people who are never going to rise to meet you, and you create space for the person who will. The person who will. So ask yourself honestly, have you really let them go? Or are you still leaving the door cracked open, hoping they'll walk through? Because letting go isn't about punishing them, and it's not about playing some reverse psychology game. It's about saying, I deserve someone who sees my value, even in my silence. Someone who doesn't need my constant presence to recognize how much I bring to their life. When you truly step back, you stop chasing answers. You stop anxiously waiting for the notification, the call, the message that proves they care. And in that stillness, two things happen. You either find out they were never capable of showing up for you, or you create the exact conditions where they realize just how much they miss what they lost. And if they don't come back, that's your answer. It's one of the most confusing things we wrestle with after letting someone go. We wonder, are they thinking about me? Do they miss me? Is my absence affecting them the way their absence is affecting me? And in those moments, we start to convince ourselves that if they miss us, even a little, that must mean there's hope. That must mean there's still a chance for things to work out. But here's the reality. No one tells you. Missing you isn't enough. Someone can miss you and still do absolutely nothing about it. They can lie awake at night thinking about the way you laughed, the way you made them feel safe, and yet still not send that message or make that call. They can scroll through old photos, replay conversations in their mind, even tell their friends how much they miss you, and yet they remain silent. Why? Because missing someone is a feeling. Action is something else entirely. We have to stop overvaluing longing. Missing you doesn't automatically mean they're capable of being the person you need them to be. It doesn't mean they've grown. It doesn't mean they're willing to meet your standards, respect your boundaries, or give you the love and consistency you deserve. A person can long for you and still not be ready for you. They can feel the loss, but lack the courage or emotional maturity to step up and make it right. And here's where so many people get stuck. They hear from a mutual friend, or they catch wind that their ex was asking about them, and suddenly their heart starts to hope again. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they realize what they lost. But nothing changes. Days pass, weeks pass, the silence lingers, because in their world, missing you hasn't translated into action. It's just a quiet ache they carry, not a catalyst for change. Think about it. How many times in your own life have you missed someone and not reached out? Maybe you felt the pull, but pride got in the way. Maybe you told yourself it's not the right time, or I'll just hurt them again. Missing someone doesn't always override fear, ego, or complacency, and it doesn't mean a relationship would even work if you re-entered it. This is why I want you to understand something deeply. Never measure someone's value to you by whether they miss you. Measure it by what they do about it. Someone who truly misses you and deserves a place in your life won't just sit in their feelings. They will move mountains. They'll take the risk of rejection. They'll swallow their pride. They'll reach out, not with vague messages or breadcrumbs, but with clarity and effort that says, I know what I lost, I know what I want, and I'm willing to do the work to make it right. You don't want a person who misses you in silence. You want a person who chooses you in the noise. Someone who steps up, even when it's scary. Someone who doesn't just think about you at 2 a.m., but who picks up the phone, sends the message, and proves through consistent action that they're serious about having you in their life. So if you're in that painful place right now, wondering whether they miss you, I want you to flip the question. Instead of asking, do they miss me? Ask, what are they doing about it? If the answer is nothing, then their longing doesn't change a thing. You can't build a relationship on nostalgia or regret. You can only build it with someone who is willing to meet you in the present and create something better than before. And if they aren't doing that, let them miss you. Let them sit with the consequences of not valuing you when they had the chance. Let them carry that weight, because it's not yours to bear anymore. Your energy belongs with someone who doesn't just feel your absence, they feel your worth and show up to honor it. Because in the end, you don't want to be missed, you want to be chosen. And there's a big difference.